Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of Blast from the Past Reviews. Going to be mixing it up a little bit today. Rather than doing a movie review, I know I had talked about doing a Maltese Falcon. That will be hopefully next week. Should be next week. But today I didn't have Megan with me, my typical co-host, the Noob Reviews. She's doing something with Weebs and Waifus this weekend and wasn't able to make it on, or at least it would have been very difficult for her to be on. And I kind of want us to both be sort of plugged in and ready to go for some analysis. So I thought I'd mix it up a little bit and go with an album review. I had one of these ready to go a while ago. I wrote this review up a long time ago, probably like a year ago, and I figured, what the heck, that'll be good for nice, just roll with it sort of stream. So let's start by saying hi to everybody. Got people in the chat already. Got a Phil TMNT with a hello there. General Kenobi. What's up, Heron of Alexandria? Glad to see you here. And Small Time Republic, thank you for joining us. And Phil, yes. And Beth Reschke, or should I say Mom? Hi, Mom. And Phil, yes, everyone being be nice to my mother. She's new to this. Is this on? Totally boomer in this. Let's see. Yes, me letting you know I'll be on in just a few. So welcome everybody. Yes, hi sweetie. Hi mom. But yeah, so I thought I'd walk through one of my favorite albums of all time, Joy Division's Unknown Pleasures. I first heard this album, oh, I don't know, years and years ago, well over a decade ago. First time I heard this album. I know you've all seen the T-shirt. You can see it in the background of the thumbnail there. That T-shirt's been printed a million times. Everybody's seen it, but I don't know how many people have actually like sat down and listened to the whole album top to bottom. I imagine most of you have probably heard the one hit song that kind of came out of that album, "She Lost Control," but it actually is a solid album top to bottom, and we'll kind of walk through it a little bit. It's not a Blast from the Past review if I'm not going to at least skirt the edge of what's allowable according to the algorithm. Allowable legally, I always follow that. All of my content is always going to be transformative, no matter what. But we've got to see what the algorithm will or won't allow. So if I go down today, it'll happen, but I'm going to try to pause the music every so often to, be able to add something to it. Oh, not a boomer. I'm a Gen Xer. Well, you're certainly boomering up the chat. That's how it goes. Sorry about that, but that's the way it is. But yes, so you know what? I'm gonna hop right into this. Also, I imagine because Megan's not here this week and said she was doing something with Weebs and Waifus. Keep an eye out. I think tomorrow is when the event they're at starts. So keep an eye out on all their channels. I think Megan will probably have some stuff up. If not, definitely the Weebs and Waifus main channel will have some stuff up. I believe they're just streaming whatever it is they're currently going to. But Krista might have some stuff up as well as I don't know if Epic Mike is there or anybody, but definitely check them out. Show them your support and share all of it out because Megan is so close to having 1,000 subscribers here on YouTube. Let's push her the rest of that way to get her monetized because she definitely deserves it. She puts out some really good content that a lot of people seem to like. So let's try and push that. Let's see. Mom is a Gen Xer and dad is a boomer. Yep. Yeah, it's my dad and my stepmom have kind of that generational gap as well. She's more of a millennial. Dad's Gen Xer, she's a millennial. Sort of elder millennial, I would say, is for my stepmom. So yeah, it happens. Yes, I have noticed you promoting Megan a lot lately, Phil. Yeah, she is awesome. She really is, and she deserves to get monetized. And she's like super close to being there. I know she's been doing a lot more streaming lately, so she can get her view time up, which I believe is doing pretty well on her watch hours. But definitely keep pushing her channel. Go and watch her when she's live, so she can get that view time up. She's like 40 away from getting that 1,000 subscriber count. So let's push Megan there to get monetized. Yeah, I'm going to hop right in and give you guys some background on the album we're going over today, Joy Division, Unknown Pleasures. Let's see. I got a little thing written out here, so we're going to be partially scripted today. Joy Division is a Manchester-based already messed it up. A Manchester-based post-punk band that was formed in 1976 in Salford in the UK. The band only released two planned studio albums, the first one being this, the second being Closer, also a good album. I suggest you listen to it. And then they have oh they have a couple other albums, but they're not proper studio albums. You have like the Peel Sessions, which are pretty good, and Substance has some of their B-sides that never hit the main albums. I definitely suggest checking out Substance as well. It's literally two albums for their studio discography and like four for their total discography, so you can listen to everything that Joy Division put out in one day. And I suggest listening to all of it because it's all good. The band, oh, already read that part. The first being Unknown Pleasures in 1979, followed by Closer in 1980. Unfortunately, the band was brought to an untimely end by the suicide of frontman and vocalist Ian Curtis, who was battling a severely degenerative case of epilepsy and chose to end his suffering by hanging himself on May 18th, 1980. Also, for everything I'm doing here today, there are sources down in the description below. So this is properly sourced. I'm not just making this stuff up. Due to the aesthetic choices of producer Martin Hannett, Joy Division's typically fast paced live performances were slowed down to create a dark and gloomy atmosphere. Though the album now stands with great significance to the genre of post punk, it remained relatively unknown outside the Manchester punk scene until Love Will Tear Us Apart, which is probably the other big hit that most of you have heard, featured in films like Donnie Darko and I'm sure a couple others. Um, became the band's first hit a month after Ian Curtis' death. After the vocalist's death, the remaining members were joined by keyboardist Gillian Gilbert and formed the band New Order. Another great band out there. If you've never listened to New Order, I strongly suggest them. Maybe I'll do another one of these in the future. Or I'll have one set up to go for one of my favorite New Order albums, Low Life, which is another top to bottom, just great album. You can listen to the whole thing over and over again, same as this one. So that's another one to check out is New Order's Low Life. And real quick, hail the lore, hail all, welcome. Glad you could join us. Where did I leave off? There we go. To this day, the album remains a masterpiece, enjoyed even by those who are not deeply fans of the genre. Additionally, the album cover may be more iconic than the music contained within from the popularity of the Unknown Pleasure t-shirts and the multitude of images created using the Wave of Lines image for memes. It's been memed a whole lot. I'm that and also it took me a long time to make the connection with Comic Division and Joy Division because I had to catch his stream at the beginning one time when he didn't have all of the panel images up so I could actually see he had the wavy lines background there. So there's another connection for you. Unknown Pleasures is the kind of an album that I can listen to in any place and any time and enjoy every last beat, rhythm, and rhyme. So yeah, this, like I said, top to bottom, great album. We'll be going over it today. Just sort of one track at a time. Not going to listen to the whole track. Just going to give you guys a taste of each one, and it's going to start off strong here with the first track, Disorder. Let me turn it down just a little bit because I imagine it's going to come through very loudly. But yes, it's a 10 tracks total. So we're going to start with the first one, Disorder, and then go to Day of the Lords, Candidate, Insight, New Dawn Fades, one of my favorites there. She Lost Control, Shadow Play, another favorite of mine, Wilderness, Inner Zone, and finally, I Remember Nothing. So let's see. Hail the Lord, saying hi to people. Phil the man, hail to you, good sir. All right, well, let's hop right in. Just let me know in the chat if you can hear this song. I'm about to hit play. Let me know if it's too loud, too quiet. I can adjust however it goes. It's just hard for me to tell on my end. All right, so this is the beginning of the first track, Disorder, another one of my favorites. It's hard to pick significant favorites, but this one sort of stands out. Oh, yes. Filament, yes. They could have at least gone with like Filtament, Phil T Mountain, something like that. But yes, Disorder. Let's get rolling here. So, gonna start playing in about 5 seconds. Let me know how it sounds. So, I mean, right from the beginning, the opening riffs. This track features the clashing of upbeat instrumentals and somber lyrics, which we will get to in just a moment. You'll hear those that really mark the post punk genre. And in my opinion, this is one of the all time best album
I've
openers
been waiting
of
for
all
a guy
time.
to come and take me by the hand. Sure, these sensations make me feel the pleasures of a normal man. These sensations spare the insults, leave them for another day. I've got the spirit, lose the feeling, take the shock away.
So this song is very reminiscent, in my opinion, to other post-punk classics like "Boys Don't Cry" by The Cure or "Temptation" by New Order, and no surprise that it has some similarities to New Order, considering the remaining members of Joy Division became New Order. And actually, a lot of songs that had not been released or finished by Joy Division wound up becoming New Order songs. So let's hear a little bit more of Disorder because I just love this song. It's one of those tracks that really like it gives me the feels, that cathartic sense of feeling that I talked about on last week's show. It just has that great I don't know what it is. It's the way that music would flow from the late 70s into the early 80s, particularly music in the post-punk genre. Just the way that it flows, the way it has that up and down to it. It's kind of like the Gen X version of the millennial whoop. If you guys aren't familiar with the millennial whoop, it's a sound that pops up very often in modern pop songs. A lot of Justin Bieber and Taylor Swift and stuff like that. And it's a ooh oh, that you get that a lot in the millennial whoop. But for like the songs from the 70s and 80s, you get that you get stuff like that a lot. And I don't know, it just I dig it. I like how it feels. I like how it hits me. It has a strong emotional response for me personally.
It's getting faster, moving faster now, it's getting out of hand. On the 10th floor down the back stairs, into no man's land. Lights are flashing, cars are crashing, getting frequent now. I've got the spirit, lose the feeling, let it out somehow.
And a lot of the lyrics to pretty much throughout the whole album, it's nothing is super specific, but I like how they flow. Here, let's roll that back just a little bit so we can hear some of those lyrics again. Lights are flashing, cars are crashing, getting frequent now.
Land. Lights are flashing, cars are crashing, getting frequent now. I've got the spirit, lose the feeling, let it out somehow.
Got the spirit, lose the feeling, let it out somehow. It's vague yet meaningful at the same time, impactful even, I would say. All right, I think you guys sort of get the gist of that song. That's we heard about two-thirds of it there. It's most of these songs are a little bit longer. This isn't the shortest track in the album, but it's certainly not the longest either. Clocking in right at 3 minutes and 30 seconds. But I think you guys got a feel for it. I don't want to like spoil the whole album for everybody. I think it's best. This is one of those albums that it's best to really sit down and listen to the whole thing and digest it. So I'll give you the guys the opportunity to do that on your own. Um, and let's move on to the next track, Day of the Lords. So this track, it's where things start. They slow down a little bit, actually, quite a bit. They slow down in this track, and for the next few tracks, they're going to be a bit slower than the other ones. Especially compared to if you ever listen to any of Joy Division's live performances, they were much faster. They were initially intending to be a punk band, but they sort of became post punk. Particularly with this album from the producer Martin Hannett, he wanted to go for a um, what was the term he used? An oral space vibe. That was what Martin Hannett described it as. And Jello Biafra of Dead Kennedys, who I'm not a big Dead Kennedys guy, but not disparaging anyone who is. He would describe this album as being overproduced. He preferred the more raw sound that you got from the live performances. But this definitely does feel a lot heavier than the previous tracks.
This is the room, it's not a riddle. No portrait so fine, only sheets on the walls. I've seen the nights filled with blood, sport, and pain, and the bodies of tamed, the bodies of tamed. Where will it end? Where will it end? Where will it end? Where will it end?
So yeah. uh Sorry, I'm hearing my cats going nuts over there. Um so this song, it does actually pick up a good bit toward the end. And we'll get there. I might skip ahead a little bit to where we get to the end, but this is definitely a lot slower, a lot calmer of a song as well. This is something if you're just sort of chilling there, relaxing, it'd be a good song to listen to. But it really peaks toward the end, where the vocals are more muted early on. They definitely get a lot more more of a crescendo, you could say, toward the tail end of the song. And Firefucks, how's it going? Watching some of the Matt Taibbi tweet thread coverage. How are y'all doing tonight? I am doing well. Thank you for joining us. We're going over, as you can tell from the title, Unknown Pleasures by Joy Division. Let's hear a bit more of this track. A bit more of this earlier part, and then I'll skip toward the end.
These are your friends, the top of the roof, who goaded you on, demanded for proof, with romantic smart, do you ride in, so distorted a bit, distorted a bit. Where will it end? Where will it end? Where will it end? Where will it end?
I wonder why people, would describe post-punk as being a depressed music. I don't see why they would say that at all. Let's see. I think this is a good place to skip ahead. reminds you of acid rock. I imagine there was a good amount of influence from Joy Division and acid rock. They've actually influenced a lot of bands over the years. So yeah, I could see that. Let's see. Skipped ahead a bit toward the end. I wanted to let you guys hear where it's peaks a little bit more.
This is the room, the start of it all. From childhood through youth, I remember it all. Why I see the nights filled with blood, sport, and pain. And the bodies obtained, the bodies obtained, the bodies obtained. Where will it end? Where will it end? Where will it end? Where will it end?
So particularly the guitar right there reminds me a lot of Bauhaus, who's really they're the progenitors of post punk. You got to give the credit to Bauhaus there, and I think that distorted guitar in the background there. Here, let's back it up just a few seconds so you can really hear it. I think that's very influenced by Bauhaus. All right, so that was Day of the Lords, track number 2. We're going to skip ahead to track 3, Candidate. So this is another slower track of theirs, the next one coming up. Another slower track. In fact, it very slowly sort of fades in. It creeps in, even. Gives the song a bit of an anticipatory effect. Hail the Lore says, gotta head out. This is awesome. See you guys later, and I'll check out this album as well. Thanks. Yes, thank you for joining us, Hail the Lore. Strongly recommend Joy Division, all of Joy Division, but really this album, Unknown Pleasures, great place to start. Perfect place to start for Joy Division, and really to kind of get you into the post-punk genre. So this is a good way to go. And from here, you can kind of, I like Bauhaus, but I personally don't think they're the best start for post punk. You sort of go from Joy Division, maybe try out some Susie and the Banshees, The Cure. A lot of people have heard The Cure, but I'd say Cure is another one that you need to listen to like top to bottom, a full album. Three Imaginary Boys is probably one that's sort of their earlier sound. And then if you want to hear what The Cure was more famous for, what got them to be more popular, I would say Head on the Door is probably a solid album for them. But definitely check this one out. And if it's something you like, dive a bit deeper into the post-punk genre. Highly recommend. One of my favorite genres of music out there. Firefox says, a much more minimalist acid rock like Inagata da Vida by Iron Butterfly, without the instrumentals and any kind of additional effects of instruments or vocals. Yeah, now this was also sort of one of their earlier albums. This came out in 1979. And yeah, they never got too heavy with the additional effects or anything like that. Like they never had a keyboardist in this one. They never really used a synthesizer or anything like that, even though they were definitely available at the time. Yeah, this is a more minimalist side of post-punk. If you want to hear something with more effects, I would say New Order is the way to go with that. Because with them, you have the keyboardist, and I mean, I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, have heard Blue Monday by New Order. That's a bit more of their field, but they have most of their songs are actually a bit more like this, a bit more on the post-punk side of things rather than the new wave side of things. Which Iron Butterfly was in 1968, so they probably had influences from acid rock. Yeah, so yeah, you're right. I said that, they probably influenced acid rock, whereas acid rock probably influenced them. Now, really, they were trying to go for more of a punk rock feel, but the producer sort of pushed them into a slower realm and added a lot more production to the songs themselves. So if you listen to any of their live songs, those are much more minimalist and faster paced compared to this.
Forced by the pressure, the territory's marked. No longer the pleasure. Oh, I've since lost the heart. Corrupted from memory, no longer the power. It's creeping up slowly. That last fatal hour. Oh, I don't know what made me.
So you get like those bits of guitar kind of screeching in just at small moments there, just peeking into the music. And I think it sort of breaks up the very slow, predominantly drum beat. That's what we're really hearing throughout most of this drum and bass. And post punk is a genre that's really defined by the bass. It's one of those few genres where the bass goes at the front and the guitar tends to be at the back. And this album definitely has the bass more toward the front of things. But I really like that how those especially if you're listening to this on headphones and listening to a source track of this, not hearing it through my stream, you'll hear that kind of like fades from side to side, which is normally an effect I'm not a big fan of, especially when it goes back like really quickly. But with this, because it's spread out enough, it doesn't bother me. Like I don't know if everyone else is like that, but when the song like really the fade goes from left to right and right to left, back and forth, it kind of throws me off a little bit, gives me some unease. This one doesn't do that because there's more space in between those.
What gave me the right to mess with your value? I changed wrong to right. Please keep your distance. The trail leads to here. There's blood on your finger, brought on by fear. I can't pay for nothing. I worked hard for this. I try to get to you. You treat me like this.
So I really think like the sort of disturbing qualities you could say of the guitar in this track, they really kind of help it to stand out. Versus, we've had like two sort of slow pace or one slow paced song right before this as well, and I feel like this kind of helps it to stand out. There's a few others. A lot of this album is more on the slow tempo. But they try to make each song its individual in its own way. None of them have too much of a samey quality that some bands can get, and I really appreciate that with this song. Let's see, Firefox says, or psychedelic rock. I use the term interchangeably, which may be wrong. I'm not a massive fan of the genre. I just know a few bands I like. Yeah, I know like Pink Floyd normally gets lumped in with like psychedelic rock, and they're one of my favorites of all time. In fact, I'll have a new hoodie here in the near future that I'm not supposed to know about because it was a Christmas present, but when it gets shipped to my work, I'm gonna know about it. So yeah, psychedelic rock is one of those, like it's kind of a hit or miss for me, in my opinion. But when it's done well, it can be done very well. I know people often refer to Dark Side of the Moon as for psychedelic rock, and I mean that album's an all-time great as well. Could I make an album recommendation for you to check out, or do a review like this over it? I will certainly make the recommendation, and I'll at the very least give something to listen to. I'll buy the ticket, take the ride. How albums are generally like 40 minutes long, so I typically don't have a problem giving something a chance, even if it's something I normally wouldn't like. Uh, Unless it's like modern day rap or country, I probably won't have a problem giving it a try. Now, if we're talking like older rap, like 90s gangster rap, I can get down for. Actually, what I really liked was I'm not a big fan of rap, but the I don't know what it's referred to, but like the 90s like party rap, I guess, like Two Live Crew or like 69 Boys or Ghetto Boys, like that's the kind of rap I can get into. I guess that's more hip hop. Let's see. Boundless by Pomegranate Tigers is the album. It's a prog metal album. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and type that in. Pomegranate Tigers. So I can go ahead and have it saved here. Otherwise, I would not hear it because I'd forget. Let's see. It came out 2015. That might be a little bit too contemporary for a review, but it depends on how good it is. But yeah, I'll give it a check. I'll like I said, I'll give anything a listen to. Prog rock, I'll say like one. It's another one that prog rock's a bit of a hit or miss for me. There's some that I like, there's some that I don't. Generally, I do like prog rock. Uh, Generally speaking, particularly like Yes, like I'll listen to Yes just about any time. But then it can go like a little bit too far for me. Like Fish, not a big fan of Fish. Like I see their relevance and I see why people like them, not just for the like actually listening to their music. They're pretty good compared to like say Grateful Dead. Like I don't people only followed Grateful Dead in my opinion because there were a lot of drugs at the show. But that's just my opinion. But yeah, I'll give it a listen to. Let's hop over to the next track, Insight, track number 4. All right. It's hard to always tell when these tracks are playing because a lot of them start off very slowly. I swear it's playing. There we go.
Guess your dreams always end. They don't rise up, just descend. But I don't care anymore. I've lost the will to want more.
So yeah, this track, I mean, the pace picks up a good bit, which is nice because it's been slow all the way through. Not quite to the pace that the first track, Disorder, did, but definitely leading into a bit more of the faster paced songs toward the end of the album. Um, and it sort of starts off with like this ambient noise that's sort of broken up by a few sounds. There sounds like a car door opening and closing, and then that guitar riff sort of or the bass riff sort of slowly brings you in.
Not afraid, not at all. I watch them all as they go, but I remember when we were young. Those with habits and ways, the sense of style and the taste of making sure you were right. Hey, don't you know you were right? I'm not afraid anymore. I keep my eyes on the door, but I remember.
So right here after that first chorus that we had, and that was the chorus. They kind of like meld together from the first stanza into the chorus. They sort of meld together a little bit, but that was actually the first chorus you just heard there. Listen in because it's going to be quite chaotic here coming up soon, and I think it's a nice way to sort of break up this song between the beats. So yeah, it gets very chaotic there for a few seconds and really sort of builds up and then kind of releases to a nice little relief that you get. I imagine if you were on a substantial amount of drugs, as people were wont to do back in the late 70s and early 80s, that would certainly, you'd be like freaking out a little bit there during all the beeping and everything else going on, and then it just settles back out, gives you a nice calm.
Tears and sadness for you, or upheaval for you, reflects a moment in time, a special moment in time. Yeah, we wasted our time, we didn't really have time, but we remember when we were young. And all God's angels beware, and all you judges beware. Sons of chance, take good care for all the people out there. I'm not afraid anymore, I'm not afraid anymore, I'm not afraid anymore, I'm not afraid anymore.
Yeah, have more of that chaos in here. All right, so that was actually most of that track. I know I said I'd just give you guys a taste, but I kind of went through most of that one. Oops. It's a pretty good track, I'd say. But next up, we have one of my favorites of theirs. It's another slower one, but it really hits hard. And I'm going to see if we can't get through this whole next track. I really love the next one. New Dawn Fades. Easily, I'd say probably my favorite Joy Division song, this next one. It is very heavy on the bass for this track. And I mean, this band is already known for being heavy on the bass, but they really lean into it with this one. And then you'll have just sort of a very light sort of a guitar, a very simple guitar melody coming in here.
Change of style, change of scene, with no regrets, A chance to watch, admire the distance, still occupied, though you forget.
Very soft tones at the beginning of this, but it's all going to build up. It's going to the entire song is sort of a crescendo all the way through, leading us from a very light beginning to a very intense ending, I would say.
Different colors, different shades, overreach, mistakes were made. I took the blame. Directionless, so plain to see. A loaded gun won't set you free. So you say.
So I don't know if it's the same for everybody, but for me in particular, like just everything in this song sort of works together. That especially for that first half of it, we're about halfway through this track. That first half of it really, I don't know, it just calms me. It brings me this sense of like centering and emotional calmness to it, and then. I mean, as you're going to see here very soon, that's going to shift in its own way.
We'll share a drink and step outside. An angry voice and one who cried. We'll give you everything and more. The space too much, can't take much more. Water, run through fire. Can't seem to feel it anymore.
Just the lyrics there, they hit me just right with this song. This pain's too much, can't take much more. I've walked on water, walked through fire, can't seem to feel it anymore. I know it's all very vague and meant to bring forth an emotional response, and for me, it just works. And I hope it does the same for you. I just can't talk about how much I love this song.
Something else.
This is one of those tracks I can listen to multiple times. This is one I could do back to back, not just the full album back to back, but this is one of those tracks I could listen to back to back. I must have heard this song in particular 1,000 times over the years, and it still hasn't gotten old for me. All right, that was New Dawn Fades. I think a lot of people probably go into Joy Division expecting it to be just sort of variations on like Level Tears Apart, easily their most popular song. But this is the song I would say to sort of show someone be like, no, Joy Division is actually much different than just Level Tears Apart. In fact, that track, Level Tears Apart, is their that's the one that's different from all of the others. And it wound up hitting that mainstream appeal. Still a good song. I love it. I'm not disparaging it. I'm just saying that's the song that's a bit different from all of their other ones. Uh, I'll say this next track coming up, She's Lost Control, where the pace is definitely picking back up here. That we've had a lot of slower tracks over and over again. Yes, Donnie Darko, where Love Will Tear Us Apart is probably most popular from a movie that I will say, in my opinion, the album is better than the movie. Just my opinion. But this next track, She's Lost Control, actually has a bit of an interesting meaning behind it that wound up being sort of weaving its own way into the band itself.
Confusion in her eyes, it says it all. She's lost control. And she's clinging to the nearest passerby. She's lost control. And she gave away the secrets of her past and said, I lost control again. And of a voice that told her when and where to act, she said, I lost control again.
So this track is a little bit faster than some of the other ones on this album. Certainly nothing as fast as that first track. But it is nice to sort of pick the pace up a little bit after how slow and sort of the emotional crescendo that was New Dawn Fades, the previous track. But this was inspired by a real life moment that the lead singer Ian Curtis had while he was working at a job center in England before the band had really picked up. He was trying to help a girl get placed at a job, and she wound up having an epileptic fit right in front of him, like she fell on the floor. And so that's where the lyrics for this song come from. And the girl actually later on wound up dying in her sleep. She had an epileptic fit in her sleep and wound up swallowing her tongue. So very sad story behind this song. I would suggest actually listening to the live version of this song sometime to give you a bit of an idea of what the more intended way to hear this song is.
And she turned around and took me by the hand and said, I've lost control again. And how I'll never know just why I understand. She said, I've lost control again. And she screamed out, kicking on the side, and said, I've lost control again. And she's up on the floor, I thought she died. She said, I've lost control. She's lost control again. She's lost control.
You know what? I'm going to see if I can't find a live version of it for us to hear. Let's see. Lost Control live. All right, here we go. I just realized you guys can't hear that. Hang on a second. There we go. This is more how the track is intended to be heard.
In her eyes are such a hole. She's lost control. And she's clinging to the nearest passerby. She's lost control. And she gave away the secrets of the past and said, I've lost control again. And of her voice she told her when and where to hide. She said, I've lost control again.
So see, much faster, much higher pace. But we're gonna move on to the next track. Let's see if there's anything else. So yeah. So what's sort of I wouldn't say ironic, but coincidental about this song is that it did go from him singing about another girl having an epileptic fit, and then Ian Curtis himself wound up developing a very progressive case of epilepsy after after he had written this song, and it wound up being very debilitating in his life and made it very very difficult for him to just live his life at a normal rate. But we're going to move on to the next one, Shadow Play, another one of my favorites.
To the center of the city where a road's been waiting for you. To the depths of the ocean where a load sank to you. I was moving through the silence without motion, waiting for you. In a room with a window in the corner, I found truth.
So yeah, this is just another one this definitely is more faster paced than She Lost Control, a bit closer to what was intended with the sort of the live versions of what would be played. I don't know, there's just not much I could really say about this track other than the fact that I just sort of like it. I like how it flows. I like the lyrics that are in it as well.
In the shadow play, acting out your own death, knowing no more. There's the assassin's old group, 10 more lines dancing on the floor. And with cold steel all around their bodies, made a move to command. Rather than be staring, disbelief is a drop to land.
It's another one. I just like how that song hits. I don't know. It's hard to sort of describe too much of what I like about that song. It just sort of hits me just right. Don't know. Let's see. Next up, we're going to skip over to the next one. We're going to go with Wilderness. Let's see. This is another one where the bass is very heavy up front. Normally, bands will lead with the guitar. This leads with the bass, for sure.
I traveled far and wide through many different times. What did you see there? I saw the saints with their toys. What did you see there? I saw our knowledge destroyed. I traveled far and wide through many different times.
So I'll say the lyrics for this track are a bit more fluidic, a bit more flowing than some of their other songs. Which I think, once again, like I said before, they try to give each one of their songs a bit of a unique tone to it, so it doesn't just all feel samey. And I think that's how this one stands out.
I traveled far and wide through prisons of the cross. What did you see there? The power and glory of sin. What did you see there? The blood of Christ on their skins. I traveled far and wide through many different times.
So I think that sort of gives you a feel for that song there. I wouldn't say it's like one of my favorites off of the album, but it's a good song nonetheless. And then we have Inner Zone. Inner Zone is the next track we'll be listening to. Definitely one of the more punk influenced songs off of this album in particular, if not the band as a whole. So, Inner Zone. I mean, you can tell right from the beginning, this is probably like the fastest paced song on the album, which I think it really needed getting toward the end of it here. They needed something to kind of pick up the pace a little bit. And yeah, this is definitely has more of the punk rock feel that they were initially going for.
I walk through the city limits, attracted by some close within it. Around this corner where a prophet lay, a wild dance where the children play. And I was looking for a friend of mine. Yeah, looking for some friends of mine.
Also feels a lot more influenced by just rock and roll in general, more of, original rock and roll. The guitar in particular feels a little bit more you know, along the lines of something that Chuck Berry would have played.
The car screams with the sound of guns. Metallic blues and red with brothers. In a room of forgotten youth. I turned on to a night baby. And I was looking for a friend of mine. Yeah, looking for some friends of mine. Down the dog street, the houses look the same. I walk round and round and nailed me to a tree. Trying to find a clue, trying to find a way to get out.
Yeah, there's just a little taste of Inner Zone. I mean, heck, we're only like a minute 30 in. We're beyond halfway through this song. It's one of the shorter tracks, 2 minutes and 17 seconds. It's one of the shorter ones, but we're almost at the end of the album now. Almost to the end. We have one track left. I Remember Nothing. And you know what? Let's hop right into it.
We were strangers. We were strangers. Away too long.
So this
one definitely seems to have a bit more of the Bauhaus influence that really was post-punk at the time. This was 79 when this came out, so Bauhaus would have been like the post-punk band. And this certainly has a bit more of that feel to it, though it's still unique in its own right. It's still more of a Joy Division feel. It's not just like they're trying to rip them off.
Away to Yet we call the town. We just pass the time. Me and my.
It does sort of have the the wall, not fully there, but it sort of has the wall of sound effect that Bauhaus definitely was going for, but more along the Joy Division lines, not as chaotic and out there as Bauhaus definitely was. But I think this is a very good sort of dark and morose period that they put on this album. And I'd say it's certainly unique in its own right. Internationalized Ronaldo, thank you for joining us. You can make a request. I'm not just playing any album right now, but if you wanted to suggest an album for me to listen to or anything like that, I take suggestions. I make no promises as to whether or not I'm going to do a review on anything. Normally I do movie reviews here, but my co-host is out this week, so I thought I'd try something different. But yeah, throw out an album suggestion out there and I'll listen to it. And if it's something I like, this is sort of what I do when I can't do the movie review. I'm trying this out to see how it goes. Yeah, certainly you can make a suggestion. I'm open to those. But I think that's where I'm going to leave the end of this one. I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to spoil the entire album for everyone. I think everybody should listen to it top to bottom and really get their own feel for it. I just wanted to give you a taste of Joy Division here, and really should go from this onto their other albums. And I am going to play. I would say what's their most popular song, certainly the one that put them in the spotlight. We're going to play a bit of Love Will Tear Us Apart. This is the 1995 remastered version. So yes, here is Joy Division's easily most popular song. You've probably heard it in multiple movies. I'm going to play this, and then there's one other song that I want you guys to hear by Joy Division. So here's their most popular, and I'm sure you'll see why when you hear it. So, right away, Love Will Tear Us Apart a lot quicker. Has the keyboard in there, synthesized keyboard in there, has more of a new wave feel to it.
Virgin lies harder, and ambitions are low, and resentment rises high, but emotions won't grow, and we're changing our ways, taking different roads. Love will tear us apart again. Love will tear us apart again.
Trying to find a good in-between for how to show this album.
Why is the bedroom so cold?
For that. No?
Turned away on your side.
Alright, I'll just pick one.
Timing that floored. Our respect runs so dry. Yet there's
So that just sort of gives you a bit of a taste of what that is there, and I don't think that Level Tear Us Apart was actually featured on either of their studio albums. Up like Internationalize Ronaldo says here, or Internationale Ronaldo. Sorry, let me pronounce that correctly. Internationale Ronaldo. Unknown Pleasures is a masterpiece. I simply rather hear their second album, Closer. My recommendation is Clis Modernos, Charlie Garcia. Here, I'll type that in and I will give it a listen to. Yeah, so 1983. Okay. Hmm. According to Wikipedia, it is the second solo album by the Argentine musician Charlie Garcia, released on November 5th, 1983 on SG Discos and Interdisc. It was a decisive work to consolidate the modern trends that would mark the profile of Argentine rock during the 80s. That certainly seems like it's something that's right up my alley. I will definitely be giving that a listen to. Thank you for the recommendation. But that gives you a bit of a taste of Level Tear Us Apart, but one that it's even more preferred for me personally. Let's go ahead and share this tab instead. Let's bring this up because there's actually an official music video here for this has got to be my all-time favorite Joy Division song, Atmosphere. And the music video that came out just a few years ago, good. I like it. You may recognize this from Stranger Things.
In silence, don't walk away. In silence, see the danger, always danger. Endless talking, life rebuilding. Don't walk away.
Yes, that's just to give you a bit of a taste of Atmosphere because that's one, and that one is on Closer. I wanna say more for certain. I'm gonna double check real quick. I believe that is the third track on Closer. No, Means to an End is the third track on Closer, which is another great song out there. Okay, so no, that both of those would be on Substance then. I think that Glass and Ice Age deserve to be in one of their albums. Yeah, there's a lot of songs that just didn't make it into their albums, unfortunately. And yes, this is very much a funeral song, but it's a great song. I just love it. It's one of those that it hits me just right in the feels. I just, you know, what can I say? I love it. It's a great song in my opinion. Timeless song. A lot of their songs have that timeless feel to it. Uh, but yeah, I strongly suggest listening to this album, top to bottom, front to back. Listen to their other studio album, Closer, top to bottom, front to back. Listen to their non-studio albums. Listen to Substance, so you can hear kind of what their B-sides would be, and all of their songs should be heard. And then from there, go straight into New Order. It's 100% worth it to go into New Order. Like I said at the beginning, Low Life, great place to start with New Order if you like Joy Division. Honestly, Low Life is just another one of those top to bottom. I could hear that album over and over again. I love it. But yeah, that's Joy Division for you. For everyone out there who's not too familiar with them, check them out. And Ronaldo, glad you could join us here. But I think I'm going to be wrapping this up. So if you enjoyed hearing me do an album review. Let me know if you're catching this after the fact. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the album reviews, or if you have any other suggested albums you would like for me to listen to or and potentially review in the future. I'm definitely going to be checking out Charlie Garcia. I don't know how to say that. Clis Modernos. I don't speak Spanish, unfortunately. Learned a bit of German, so my language expertises are more in the Germanic side of things. But I'll definitely be checking that out. But thanks everybody for coming by and hearing me just sort of gush over one of my favorite albums out there, just for a favorite band. Both albums are great. You can't really, personally, I don't think you, for me, I can't weigh one over the other. Both are solid. Should listen to them, and then move on from there. Go into translation, Modern Clicks. Okay, but I think it's a good place to start for post punk. And from here, like I was saying earlier, you know, dive a bit deeper into the genre. Go for some Susie and the Banshees. Go for The Cure. And then from there, you could even get into some of the lesser known sides of the genre. Get into some cold wave. You know, listen to listen to some End of Data. That's a good one out there. Listen to what is it? Dans votre monde by End of Data. It's French cold wave. It's basically people partying their asses off during the Cold War that are just in between Russia and America, and they don't know when the bombs are going to drop at any time, so they're just partying their asses off. It's got some great music come out of there. Trisomé 21 is another good one for cold wave. So start with post punk and sort of branch out from there. It's got some good stuff. And hell, go into some of the harder rock side of things if you're more into metal. Sisters of Mercy is a great place to go to. They're one of those bands that a lot of people could easily get into, kind of like how Typo Negative sort of branches right in between like the goth rock into the metal stage of things. Sisters of Mercy is also there as well. Another band I would highly recommend, but Joy Division is a good place to start, I would say. But everybody out there, have a wonderful day. You can catch me later this evening over at Ord's World. You know what? I can probably pull up some links here if I was. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, here we go. There we go. Ord's World. Should be catching me later tonight playing some Mario Kart with the boys. Hopefully Snowdub will be there. And Phil, you saw him earlier. He might be there again. Thomas, the Gilkinator, might be there. He was there last time we played. And if we don't wind up doing Mario Kart, you got to shame Ords. We got to shame Ords until he gives us Mario Kart, damn it. So check me out there in, I don't know, probably an hour or so, I believe. Not 100% on when it'll be happening, but it'll be happening, I really hope, tonight, or I'm going to shame Ords into it. So you can catch me there. And then on Tuesday, you can find me over on Supreme Heretics channel for United Resistance. This will be episode 51 for that. So we've got a solid stride going with United Resistance. We always have a fun time over there and talk about, you know, sort of relevant news to the modern age. But, you know, over here, I like to keep it to pop, you know, the pop culture side of things and talk about the wonderful art that we had from the past. And I think this was a good chance for me to share something that I love to you guys. So everybody out there, be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes. Later. Wait, I can't end yet. I have a closer. How could I forget? I have a closing thing. Bye, everybody.
Now. He's looking at you, kid.
Goodbye, Boo.
Kitty.
Kitty has to go.
I'll see you. Not if I see you first.
Hello.
Grandpa? Maybe you could come over and read it again to me tomorrow.
As you wish.